Good morning, good day, and good evening. Welcome back to the show. Today we have a returning guest. Last time they were on with Asahi Lena. Today they're on by themselves. Welcome back to the show, Luna the Fox Girl. How are you doing?
I don't know, like somewhere between great and like uh slow morning. I already told you about the part where I almost put soy sauce into my hot cocoa.
Yeah, that
That would be an interesting taste, that's for
it would
sure.
be. Probably not the most, optimal way to start your day, but it would wake you up at least.
Very salty.
So how you been doing?
It's been kind of a roller coaster as of late, but
Mm.
getting stuff done. I started a Mastodon instance, and then I also did more work on Inochi2D. So
I was going to ask you about VT Social. We can either start with that and then spend the entire episode ranting about the state of Twitter, or we could talk about Inochi2D. I'll let you choose.
I think we should wait with the till the end, otherwise we are going to start ranting about Twitter for the rest of the day.
Okay, sure, we can do that. Well, for anyone who maybe missed the last time you were on and hasn't seen the work you've done, why don't you give a brief introduction of what you do?
I mean, you can see it right on the screen. I'm moving myself because I am making an open source 2D Vtuber model format and tools for it. So I am being rendered by my own software.
Which I think is actually really cool. Like the fact that there is, something that is in that space that is not Live2D is good, because you mentioned this the last time you're on. The Live2D licensing is not
Uh,
optimal.
It's very like outdated in terms of
Mhm,
like they're very heavy-handed. And
mhm.
recently, another VTuber software project had to remove Live2D support because they don't sell their software,
uh
and Live2D basically don't want free software to
that
exist
was
with their stuff.
Kaleidoface, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah, Kaleidoface has deprecated Live2D support.
So for anyone who missed, who maybe like didn't hear about Kaleidoface back when it was like really popping off, that's a web-based way to like just do the VTubing thing. Very
Yeah,
easy to set up. You just go to the thing and it just works basically.
yeah. And this is where I make the announcement that for some reason I'm making a web-based version of Inochi2D. I wonder why. uh,
Mystery, complete mystery.
uh.
But for anyone who has no idea about what's wrong with Live2D, just give you a brief idea of what the deal is there.
There's many problems besides licensing, which is itself just like kind of a crapshoot because like
Mm.
you're not allowed to use competing software together with Live2D in, for example, a game or a VTubing software. So yeah, that's not good. Uh, um, you are not allowed to license files to make it with other licenses than closed licenses. So you're not allowed to make Creative Commons models with Live2D, for example, because
Wait.
they have ownership over they have partial ownership over your model due to you using their software.
Uh huh.
Um, what more is there? Well, then there's all the technical things. Like
Mm.
it's very CPU heavy, RAM heavy. If you use the editor, I've seen people like buy 64 gigabytes of RAM because the Live2D editor uses like 32 gigabytes at some points. Uh, all kinds of really silly things. They don't do rendering right, so like if
Mm.
you have a dark skinned character, you'll see white outlines over every dark skin part. Inochi2D does not have that problem.
Uh huh.
In general, it's just kind of a crapshoot. They don't do blending right.
Mm.
They do the color math wrong. They do everything in sRGB space. So all the color math is wrong and inaccurate. So it's kind of like just it's not great.
But it was the only thing on the scene back when. Well, it was. It's yeah. It was the only thing on the scene. So that's the thing that everyone's now continued to keep using, and it had all the backing, like
Well,
all the money behind it as well, being developed, and and the big company support behind it. So it's like, well, it's here. So well, just make it work.
Yeah. Also, it doesn't really work on Linux either.
Yep.
So
Yep. I
it,
that's the least of my worries. I'd be very surprised if it did work properly.
yeah. Inochi2D more or less fixes all those things. Those are
Mm-mm.
not a problem with Inochi2D. So
I think you mentioned it last time, but for anyone who hasn't heard the story, let people know um how Inochi2D initially started, like before it was its own separate thing.
oh, okay, that's a silly story.
I
Okay,
love
so I
the
was
story.
making I was making a lesbian foxgirl mahjong game, which was also a visual novel, so it's both like a mahjong game and a visual novel, and I
Mhm,
was making my own engine for it, and I wanted like an animation subsystem. And I looked at Live2D, was like, this licensing is absolutely dog shit. I'm gonna make my own thing.
mhm.
Then later the artist left the project, and then I was like, wait, like all this VTuber stuff, there's like two companies that basically control everything.
Mhm.
Maybe I should just spin this out to its own thing.
How
And
long ago
then
was that?
Inochi2D was born. That's like 2 years ago.
Right. So then you just kept it going. You're like, let's just see where this goes, kind of deal.
Yeah, and then at some point people actually started using it. I was like, oh, okay.
Mm. What has
So,
the like general, I guess, public reception of it been like? Because obviously it's been growing a lot over time. Um, like what has that sort of been
uh,
like for you?
interesting. I mean, there's people who are not a fan of the different paradigm, and there's
Mhm.
people who really like it.
Yep.
So it's nice to see people like you said and posted on the interwebs, and then
Mm-mm.
I like retweeted. Well, I don't anymore. I've left Twitter, but we'll get back to that later. um, but yeah, I've been like looking out for posts from people using
Mm-mm.
Inochi2D, and it's pretty heartwarming to see people use your software.
Yep. Well, I can understand why there'd be, confusion about it because it's not like a drop-in replacement for Live2D. It's its own separate thing. So
Yeah,
it is going to take a bit of time to understand how it works differently.
yeah, because like my throat. Live2D works for your like kind of a scene graph kind of deal, but not really. It's just like you have some like meshes, and they can have deformers
A scene
above
graph
them.
being what?
Basically, it means you have like I'm going to get into programming terms, but like
That's fine. Go ahead.
do you know what a tree structure is?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So basically, it's a tree structure
Mm.
where the top node is the actual like scene, and then you go down, and like objects have children under them that like depend
Oh,
on the
right.
object above them. So
Yep.
that's what a scene graph is, and then like specific scene graph nodes have specific properties.
Hmm.
For example, GCK uses a scene graph to render its stuff. So like a button is its own kind of like scene graph node, and above that there's a box container, and it kind of
Yep.
just builds up until you have the actual window. So that's the kind of deal. Inochi2D uses like a full scene graph, so you have like typed nodes that have like one thing they do and they do that thing well.
Hmm.
Instead of Live2D's like it doesn't do any of the thing. Like the art mesh doesn't do its job well. The deformers kind of don't do their job well. So it's just like, eh.
Hmm.
So I basically follow the well, I guess the KISS philosophy, keep it stupidly simple.
Yep.
So each item does one thing and one thing well, and then I feel that actually makes rigging for some things easier.
Hmm.
But yeah.
Well, easier now that are getting documentation put together.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, people are using it without documentation amazingly.
Hmm.
But yeah, I need to get that done. There's still a lot of work to do there.
Yeah, I scrolled back through the Inochi2D Twitter and I noticed like a month or so ago you've got like actual something of proper documentation starting to be formed, which is probably useful.
Yeah. And then the entire burnout thing happened, and I haven't got any progress done on it.
Yeah.
So
What is the words? What is the state of the current documentation? Like from like
there's
where
one
the
page,
okay, I was gonna say like
and it's how to install Inochi Creator.
okay, well that's great because
But
what
there's
I
a
was
community member that's made. there's a community member who's made a Google document with
Mhm.
basically the documentation. I'm just gonna like reference and then improve.
Because what I was gonna say is, now not not knowing that it was just one page as it stands, I was gonna say, with the documentation that is currently available, what percentage of the current software is actually documented? But it sounds like not much, like maybe 1%. If you go with the documentation that
Yeah,
officially is there,
yeah.
with that
I mean,
that
there's
extra
more
Drupal.
if you look at the GitHub wikis. There's like session documentation, but
Mhm.
yeah, I I need to get stuff added. The main pain point is just like decided that we were going to use Read the Docs because it supports also exporting PDFs and ebooks from your
Mm.
documentation. Um, on top of that, it supports translations, and we
Mhm.
have like Japanese users and Chinese users,
Mhm. Mhm.
both speak Mandarin and like Cantonese.
Yep.
So we definitely need to be able to have these things translated.
Mhm. Mhm.
My throat. Um, and the main pain point there is Read the Docs is a nightmare to set up. That's why it took so long to get this page set up. Because like
Right.
their documentation, you'd imagine they would have good documentation because they're making a documentation generator thing. But
Well.
basically, it's just like learn how to make Python documentation. Good luck.
Uh.
And I haven't used Python in years for other
Mhm.
than like a glorified calculator.
Yep. Yep.
So it's like, okay, I guess I'm gonna learn how to use Sphinx and all these weird Python tools to make non-Python documentation.
Mhm. Mhm.
So yeah, I spent like a week doing that.
Well, at least it's slowly coming along.
Yeah,
One thing I
but
did.
if
Oh, sorry.
oh, I was just say if the people behind Read the Docs watch this, please fix your documentation. uh, it took me way too long to set this up.
I
It's
would.
very Python centric. They basically just
Right.
give you like their example is just like here's a Python library. Here's
Mhm.
how to document it. It's like I'm not documenting a Python library. Uh,
Well, at least look, it's something. May not be what you need, but it's something that could be worse. They could give you
I ended
nothing at
up
all.
I ended up copying like a large part of what Godot was doing because they're also using Read the Docs. So it's like I'm
Right.
just gonna snatch this and also snatch your theme and change a few CSS things.
Mm-mm.
uh, I have probably credited them though. So,
Yep. Yep. Okay.
but yeah, we basically just snatched stuff from Godot, and that's how we did it.
Mm-mm. If if it wasn't going to be read the docs, what other options would sort of suit your need? Was that the only thing that was really like on your radar for what could do what you wanted?
Yeah, like there's other documentation generators, but they don't have that like really nice capability of generating PDFs and stuff like that. Because I feel it would be nice to be well, kind of like spoiling future plans. But this summer, me and one of the Japanese contributors, are going to go to Comic Con, and we want to sell like a manual
Oh
with like
wow.
extra additions added to it. So being able to just like make the manual with Read the Docs and or well Sphinx and then export a PDF and then being able to print it and like
Mhm.
sell a physical copy of that manual would be nice.
That's really cool.
So yeah,
Well,
that's
I
for
hope you
next
get the
summer if it
documentation
happens.
to a usable form then.
I mean, I have half a year. It should be fine. I hope. I think maybe. Uh,
Surely it's fine until you get to the last week before it needs to be ready. And like, oh no, it's not done yet. What am I gonna do? Let's just hope it doesn't
uh,
get there.
yeah.
What was I was gonna say? Oh, right. I was gonna ask about like the different Inochi2D tools that exist. So there's like the Inochi2D, the library. There's the creator session, and what else was there?
Okay, there's Inochi2D, the library, yes.
Mhm.
There's Inochi Creator, which is the rigging tool.
Yep.
Inochi Session, which is like the streaming tool. That's the one I'm using right now to
Right. Right.
do all this VTubing stuff.
Mhm, mhm.
There's Inochi Viewer, which is a very, very simplified, like just a viewer for Inochi2D models. It doesn't
Mhm.
do anything other than display the models.
Right. Right. Right.
Um, Yeah, that's about all the tools we have officially. I'm working on a bunch of libraries for different like languages and stuff as well.
Yeah, because I'd seen the different tools that are available. I didn't like understand what the what all of them, all the perps of all of them different. I can't speak today at all. I don't know what's happening.
It's usually me who can't speak.
This was happening earlier today when I was streaming as well. It's just like there was a script on this. Like I was playing a game where it didn't have voice acting, and I was trying to read it, and the sentence just didn't make any sense. I just start flipping words around. It doesn't work at all. Maybe I need to sleep
Final Fantasy
more.
XIV?
No, I was playing Kingdom Hearts 3 over 2 days.
Oh, I see.
Very
Oh
fun
yeah, I
game.
guess we have a few other tools as well. We have INP Unpack, which is a tool to like unpack the file format for Inochi2D. So like, for example, if you have a corrupted file, it'll try to unpack it for you. For example, you can try to fix it yourself, or you can start like as a developer using it to like inject stuff into, for example, the ext section without having to write an entire parser for a format. You can just use that tool to extract it, throw a file in there, and then use it to pack it together again to an INP file. I should also remember to breathe between sentences. You can use the tool to unpack and repack Inochi2D files, basically.
Can you hear that dog barking next door?
No, I don't hear it.
Okay, good. It's fine. Because if I close this window, I'm going to... It's only 18 degrees here, but for some reason it's really hot in this room. It always, like, I have to leave this window open half the time, otherwise I just die from heat exhaustion.
Meanwhile, I have 2 pairs of pants and 2 pairs of socks on because it's way too cold over here in Denmark.
Yeah, you can keep your cold weather. I can just turn the air conditioner on. I don't want to deal with it being that cold. Definitely not.
Yeah.
So one thing I noticed is that, what was it? Is it called Mannequin? Yeah, Mannequin
Yes.
to integrating Inochi2D stuff inside using what is it? They have it's a character creator and like it can export in the format used for Inochi2D. Like, how does it sort of, knowing that the project is being integrated into other projects like this, like how does that make you feel? Like knowing that it's actually being used by the things people are trying to make it easy to use through their own sort of tooling. Like, what's that sort of like?
I mean, you can just look at my face. I'm pretty giddy that people actually like my software enough and think it's worth their time that they'll integrate it into their own thing. So, yeah, that's a pretty fuzzy, happy feeling for that.
Besides that one, are there any like other notable ones that I'm not aware of, or is it just that one right now?
That one right now, I am working with the Kaleido Face person to maybe make a Kaleido Face Inochi2D version. Maybe we'll see. It might not become anything. We'll see.
That would be cool.
Yeah. I've also poked the people behind Mistkey because I found out that they have like a Live2D model embedded as an iframe in there. Like, it's like a Mastodon alternative.
Ah, that one. Okay, yes.
Yeah, they have like a Live2D model embedded in their UI, and it's using an iframe because licensing. So I'm like, hey guys, maybe you should look into Inochi2D. I mean, they're Japanese, so like, I mean, they liked my post about it, so we'll see. But I poked them about it.
Maybe you'll get something done then. I think getting the software out there more is like, even though it's still in, what would you call it, like a alpha state, beta state? How would you describe it right now?
UI now?
Sorry?
It's in beta state, and we're actually decently close to like reaching 1.0, so it is usable now.
Yes.
I just the thing is, I just don't want to recommend it for like game developers like entirely yet, because like there's gonna be changes to the API. So if they use it now, they're going to have to like keep upgrading the model as we add new features.
Yep. Well, yeah, you want to have like a stable API for that sort of work.
I mean, the API for it is relatively stable now. It's just they're gonna miss out on features if they don't repeatedly upgrade the model right now.
Right.
Because old versions will load newer version models. It'll just skip everything it doesn't know how to do stuff with.
Okay, yep. Okay, that's good then.
So
you said that 1.0 is not like crazy far away. What, besides obviously documentation, like that's definitely a big one. What would be missing for a 1.0 release?
We have a few node types we want to add. A particle system, so you can like make the model like spawn particles.
Oh, nice.
A animated part, which allows you to have like frame by frame animation embedded into the model that you can also deform at the same time. Uh, some more tooling in Inochi Creator, but like the spec will probably hit 1.0 before Inochi Creator hits 1.0. So, we want, well, that's also Inochi Creator features. Like most of the spec is already there. It's just like polishing it and adding a few more features now before it's ready.
Right.
Oh yeah, we want to add like kinematic bones. So like if you want to animate arms and stuff, you don't have to like use the deformation stuff. You can use kinematic bones instead.
Yep.
I haven't started working on that yet though. Well, kind of. There is something for it, but it's I kind of scrapped it because I want to do it better than the thing I did before. There's a node called Path Deform, which basically is a kinematic bone, but yeah, I want to do it better.
Now I'm gonna ask you something that, if you really wanted to, you could go on like an hour discussion about this. But let's see if you can simplify it in a way that people can actually understand. So when we're talking about like the basic idea of having a movable 2D model, what is it that goes into this without, going into the super complicated maths for doing the deforming? Like, give it like a general overview of like sort of what needs to be done to an image like this, what needs to be, like, how you need to have it set up to actually make this function.
I mean, I guess I could show Inochi Creator and just like that would probably be easier if I like visually show it. So I'm just gonna move myself down here in the corner. It's probably gonna lag a bit. I'm also gonna move this off screen so you don't see that. I need to start Creator. One moment, I need to like get everything. I was not ready for this.
It's all good. Let me fix. Wait, let me move.
I hear my hard drive spin up.
If I maybe make this smaller, and then we can fit your entire thing in here. There we go. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now everything's being seen. Okay. My overlay is definitely not set up for doing demos like this, but it'll work. It'll be fine.
One moment, I will have to go to, I think it's focus scene. Let's see if weird stuff. Okay, there's nothing scuffed going on there. I'm gonna quickly move OBS over here. Also, I'm gonna minimize session because I forgot that I can minimize it because I made so it works even if it's minimized.
Ah, nice.
I'll load an example model here.
Sure.
Here we have Akka. This is one of the example models shipped with this. So if I just right click the head, here we have a mesh. So basically, a model is made of nodes, and each node has their own like things they can do, as I talked about, like the scene graph stuff. So this is a part node. Everything it does is render something, and it has a mesh, and it can also be a mask because it's something that can be drawn. And the way this works, so like if I rotate the head, you can see like the mesh deform as I rotate it. So they're mapped to these parameters up here. And there's some specific nodes, for example, this one, which is a physics node. So whenever that moves, it will control something else to move. So like if I move the body, you'll see like the physics node like, kind of bounce around. That'll cause this for the Sunday here to like bounce around a bit. I can make it slightly more bouncy, I guess, if I...
If you can find it.
I've added so many things here. At least we have a at least we have the ability to like, you can see like how it moves like that.
Okay.
And you can actually see the physics being applied to it there. So like the physics control another parameter. In this case, it's the ribbon up here that's controlled by the body moving. But yeah, that's like a quick overview of what goes into it. So like it's just moving, deforming, otherwise modifying things based on like these parameters up here. And then I map like face tracking to the parameters on my model. So whenever I move my head, it controls the x-axis of my head deformation. So
Huh.
yeah, that's a quick overview of this how this works. Live2D is somewhat similar in that it has meshes, but they have like deformers and they can be stacked on top of each other and stuff.
Yep. Yep. So
We
what
have
does that allow you to do that's different then?
uh, basically in Live2D you can't like make deformers additive, so you can't add multiple things together in a good way without like making them like multi-dimensional parameters. That's like 4D, 5D, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Here you can basically just make a parameter and make two parameters control the same thing. So you can make things stack based on like different things that happen.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think the best way to explain that would be if I open another model I have. Archchan, sure, why not? You
Yeah.
guys know that if you follow Ravioli, I think they're
Yeah, yeah,
called
ravioli's
on
great.
Twitter. Yeah, I need to. So for the mouth here, it'll
Mm-hmm.
look weird because it's meant to stack up in a specific way. But I can open the mouth. You can see like the teeth are not like following.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a jaw open, which makes the teeth and tongue follow with it. So these are
Huh.
actually controlled together. Because the jaw, when you open the jaw, you will also open your mouth.
Right, right, right.
So when your jaw is fully open, this will, well, except if you have your mouth closed like that.
Mm-hmm.
When you like have your mouth closed and like you open your jaw, like I can't do it here because my model is not set up to do it, but uh, so basically I can stack it and like uh, this actually also like deforms the entire face to like open down as well, because that happens when you like open your jaw.
Yep, yep.
And we have like something that makes the pucker and widen for the mouth, and we can move the mouth left and right, and we can make it funnel, which doesn't look right here because usually you only funnel like this.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, this is like slightly more advanced rigging using Apple's AR kit. So
Yep.
you have like a few more features going on with it.
Yep, yep, yep.
And yeah, so this is just a quick overview of how that works, I guess.
Yeah, as I said, you could probably go into like way too much detail here and spend the entire time talking about this if you really wanted to,
Yeah,
but
yeah, let's not do that. I'm gonna move myself back.
yeah, let me just fix my overlay as well. Make it
Whoop.
like that. Yeah. Yeah, that's close
I
enough
hope
to
that
have
was
look at.
informative.
I definitely learned something. I don't know if I understood all of it, but I definitely learned something.
Yeah, but basically, you map textures to meshes, and you mess them up, and that makes it look kind of like 3D.
Mm. The deforming a 2D image that in a way that like doesn't break everything, just it's never made any sense to me, but clearly it works somehow.
I mean, if you think about it, like when you draw
Mm.
a character like looking to the side like I am,
Mm-hmm.
I'm basically just copying the kind of like deformation you would have when you do that,
Mm-hmm.
when you're actually drawing it by hand. But I'm just doing it with like math and meshes instead of like drawing out every single facial like direction.
So basically just automating that sort of, if you're like, draw it frame by frame, it's sort of automating that process in a way that can be done in a live animation context.
Yeah, it's basically
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
because I mean, the thing with this technique is that it will introduce distortions to the
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
textures. So if you look up closely, you can also see it on other VTubers, like big VTubers that has like very expensive rigs. That you'll still find
$10,000
distortions
models,
in their
yeah.
textures. Yeah, you'll still find distortions in them because texture mapping is hard, and GPUs don't do quad texture mapping anymore, which would reduce the distortion a bit.
What is that?
Basically, you saw like how the mesh was made out of triangles.
Yes.
Quad is just making out of rectangles instead.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do that, then you can interpolate the textures, which like means like reading the textures. You can read them in rectangles instead of triangles, which allows like heavy distortion to look less heavy distorted, I guess.
think that makes sense.
Yeah. So basically, if you build out rectangles, 2D stuff looks less scuffed.
I see. Huh.
I can, if I if I show my screen again, I can show an example of why, like how.
Yeah, if you can demonstrate why that makes sense, because I'm not really sure why a triangle would be worse than a square, but
I have a very good example because you only need 2 triangles to display it. So
sure. Okay, let's see. This is the
let's
most
see.
amount of demos that we've ever had during an episode.
Yeah. I'll need I'm gonna create a new project and I'm just gonna load a single texture into it. Let me find a good texture. I'm gonna find something silly. Don't you worry.
For anyone listening to the audio version of this, this is very much a watch the video version episode.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Do I have anything good I can throw in here? Sure. Here's a picture of my my Fox plushie. That is messed up loading it there. It's probably interlaced in a weird way. Oh well, whatever. If I now create a parameter, blah blah blah, I don't care what it looks like. I just want to. So, what do you think will happen when I start squishing this rectangle? Will it like look perspective-wise, like it's like tilted, or will it mess up completely?
I would assume it would mess up completely.
You're correct, because look at this. This is why triangles are not great for this.
Mm-hmm.
Because like it'll mess up. It won't look correct as perspective correct when you start deforming it.
I don't know if that. I don't know if this example helped. We just have a deformed.
Basically, you'll get a lot of like distortions around the diagonals of the triangles.
Ah, okay.
So like when you get lines, if you look closely, you'll see lines like look very like jagged and stuff because you get these distortions right here in these corners where the line goes through. And also you can't like squish something together like this because it will also distort across this line because it's only interpolating in this area like separately. So
whereas with a square.
Yeah, as with a quad, like you've seen like old arcade video games where they have like these like faux 3D effects. They use quads and they look fine even though they do exactly this. So yeah, basically that squares fix this problem, and that would make models look better. You can technically make squares with 3D graphics, but it's very computationally expensive, so it's not worth it to do it.
Right.
So it's more worth it just to deal with the distortion. And that's why a lot of models have like excessive amounts of triangles just to make sure that distortion is as little as possible.
I see.
So I hope that helped you explain it.
I don't know if it helped that much, but I think we got somewhere with it.
I'm sorry, I'm not great at explaining things. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I'm asking questions that are hard to explain.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I don't know where I was gonna go with that. I think it's really cool how much this project has come along. Like, you've not been doing it. It's been 2 years. You said you're working on it.
Yeah, and I've been like it's mostly on and off until recently, where I started working on it full time.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
September.
Yeah, how's that process been going? Like, actually being able to spend, well, besides, the burnout and all that fun stuff and they're getting sick.
Yeah.
Ignoring all that part, how's it been going?
It's been going pretty good. I got like Inochi Creator 0.7.4 out, which mostly fixed the undo system and added a lot of nice features. And now I'm working on an update that has the animation timeline so people can create like pre-made animations and export them to video if they want to, or to PNG files if they're making emotes, animated emotes, or like embedded them in the model so like you can press a button and trigger an animation or trigger it with Twitch or whatever you want to do.
Right. What was wrong with the undo system?
Most of the things weren't added to it, so like random things would not be able to be undone. It's just like so we've added a lot of things into the undo system now, so you can undo most things. There's still some things missing, but
Yeah, that's how I feel
Undo
working.
systems are hard to make. I'll add. They're very hard to make.
Yeah, I can understand that. I use Kden Live very heavily, and undoing effects. Yeah, it doesn't really happen. Like you can undo the entire effect. Good luck undoing keyframes.
Yeah.
I can
I
imagine
am.
it shares a lot of the same difficulties, and then working out how much you want to be able to undo. Like, do you want to be, if you undo it, do you want to say you like have a slider? Do you want every
Yeah.
step on the slider to be something you can undo, or is it like the entire movement? Or
Yeah, we've done a system for that. So like an undo action, we have like it's called an action stack. So every time you do an action, it gets put on top of the stack, and if you undo it, like it pops them off the stack, or rather, it just like seeks down the stack until you make a change, and then just eats all the stuff you didn't want anymore, anyways. But yeah, items in the action stack can say that they allow to be merged. So like if you do the same kind of action again, it'll just merge it with the previous one.
So like
So like if you
my
move
slider
something,
example there.
yeah. So like if you move the slider and then move the slider again, it'll just combine those two moves
Right.
into one.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I can see situations where that would be like it wouldn't be what you'd expect to
Undesirable.
happen. Yeah, like if you move
Yeah.
a slider twice, you might expect if you undo it once, it goes back to that previous position rather than undoing the entire thing. But
That's very hard to predict what the user wants there.
yeah. That may I can certainly understand that. I can see why undo systems are hard. I get it. It makes sense.
Yeah. You basically just have to like guess what the user wants to happen on the undo, plus you also have to like keep track of state.
Well,
Uh
some aspects of it would be fine. Like if someone adds they add a new node in, they added some sort of effect in, like you can sort of guess that if they undid at that state, you'd want to undo that entire thing. But those more
yeah.
incremental changes, I can see those being a major concern.
Yeah. But there's no good solution. Everyone does it differently. Some have like a timer on a thing, so like once that timer runs out, it will instead like add a new one, stuff like that. But that doesn't help if someone is making small, fast, incremental changes and still expect you to be able to undo each of them. So
I would assume the best way to do it is just to get something that works and then get it out to the users and then sort of tweak it based on that feedback.
yeah, that's basically what I've been doing. So I mean, there's so much like feature requests on the GitHub issues now that I need to look into. Some wants the ability to basically yeet any node that you hit. So that's something I'm going to look into. There's a bunch of feature requests for like showing a warning whenever you close the application if you haven't saved, because it doesn't do that yet because we don't keep track of all the changes. Yeah. So that's a landmine you can step on. The fact that it does not warn you if you close something without saving.
I feel like that's a pretty important one, definitely to have there before 1.0.
Yeah. So yeah, I have my work cut out for me.
How do you go about handling like bug reports, feature requests, things like that? Do you do it all through the GitHub?
Yeah, it goes through GitHub. Sometimes people leave them in the Discord, and then I ask them to add it to the GitHub.
Right.
And then we have like issue templates. Even in Inochi Creator, there's buttons now, so you can just like report a bug within the UI and hit, and it'll like send you to the correct issue template and stuff like that.
That's good. Definitely want to sort of ease that. How would you say it? You want to reduce the friction. There we go. Reduce the friction with users reporting stuff.
Yeah. So if you click help, there's two buttons. One called report a bug and request a feature, and then you can just click one of these, and it'll send you to the right web page. So
how do you go about deciding, what you're going to add in based on those feature requests? Do you like just if someone asks something? Let's say you have just something maybe that makes sense to add to the project, but you've not considered adding it yourself. Like, sort of how do you go about deciding what you're going to do based on those?
I decide based on whether it actually makes sense to add like I don't remember. Someone made like a feature request that just made absolutely no sense in the context of Inochi2D.
Uh-huh.
Uh, so like in that case, I just say, yeah, no, that doesn't really fit what we're trying to do.
Mhm.
Like, oh, I don't remember what it was. It was something about like, yeah, I don't remember anymore. It's a while ago. But someone requested something like silly, and I was like, yeah, no, sorry, that's not gonna that's not gonna work with Inochi2D.
Mhm.
Oh, right, it was the Live2D import. Like, yeah, no,
Oh.
first of all, I'm gonna get sued by Live2D if I do it. Second of all, I don't know how the hell you would do it, because, like, it's such a different design that it makes no sense to do.
Yep. It would sort of be
Unless you, like,
like
just
it'd be more of
recalculate
like a
everything.
conversion utility rather than just a plain import.
Yeah.
And then you'd have
Uh,
to it'd be a matter of working out how to map the live 2D functionality over
yeah, it
to
would be
an
a lot of
Inochi2D.
cursed math. Lots
Yeah,
of cursed math.
I'm sure like basic stuff would be fine, but
Once they have like those like 8-dimensional parameters in Live2D, that's not gonna work.
like
The highest we could do is 4-dimensional.
I'm sure you could, uh break the images out and get those in, but anything past that point's probably gonna be a bit tough.
You'd at least have to be like some dark math wizard or something. Just
Mm,
like cursed math voodoo to get like
mm.
it working. I don't have that math ability, but people are welcome to try. I'm just not gonna put it onto the Inochi2D umbrella because if I do, I'm gonna be liable to Live2D suing me. Because
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely want to avoid that one. No
yeah,
cease and desist. That would be very bad.
yeah, very bad for the project. So I we have like very strict like nobody who are partners of Live2D allowed to contribute.
Right.
Like if they've seen the source code or if they have worked for Live2D or if they're currently working for Live2D or any of their partners,
Mhm.
they're not allowed to contribute to the project.
Yeah, that
Just so
makes
I'm
sense.
like legally on the safe side and I don't get
Yep.
sued for them for stealing code or whatever, even though I don't think, looking at the issues people are bumping into, I don't think stealing their code would be worth it. But I mean, still gonna be like safe on that side.
Oh yeah, no, that's definitely for the best. I yeah, it'd be like some people working on us here Linux that like work at Apple. Like maybe let's not do that.
Yeah, that's a big no-no.
Unless Apple's like, "Hey, you know what? We now like open source. We will help you." And besides that, keep those people away.
Yeah, yeah. Unless it's like Apple themselves like officially licensing the stuff GPL to Linux, then yeah, no.
Yeah, no, definitely not. So with the there's been a lot of I don't know if you've seen any of it. There's been a lot of talk, especially on Reddit recently, about like the way that a lot of open source maintainers are treated by the just by people in the FOSS space. There's a lot of people that sort of act as if projects are run by companies. Like, even though most things are just run by volunteers, run by individuals, act like it's, this giant sort of corporation that does it, doesn't really treat the person who's running it like an actual person. Have you
Yeah.
sort of run into any of that with Inochi2D, or has it been, generally, besides the requests that are kind of like, there's no way we're doing that, generally kind of civil and sensible
Yeah,
discussions?
people are mostly civil, so that's nice. There's been like a few sus people, but yeah.
There's no way
The
you can
main
avoid
thing
all of them.
is, well, the main thing is that we're moving away from app images, partially due to that pro bono guy harassing developers on GitHub.
I love
I'm
promoting.
just,
He's great.
I, he's an asshole. I don't like him.
Yeah, that's fair.
So,
Totally fair.
so I mean, if he watches this,
No, he won't
I
watch
just
this because he knows. I don't think he likes me either because I've made multiple videos calling him out on stuff. I
maybe he does, but yeah, that's partially why we're deprecating it. But also, like, app images are not really all that portable.
Mhm,
And now when I say portable, people have like shit talked me for saying portable
mhm,
because they think portable means like I can drag it from one PC to another.
mhm.
No, it doesn't. It means that I can compile it one place and it will run other places easily.
Yep.
There's different terms here. I'm talking developer wise, not fucking Windows portable apps.com wise. But yeah. Like there's like I got sent like images from a Discord where people were shit talking me for saying portable. The Flatpaks are more portable than app images, but they are like you can run them on NixOS and whatever that doesn't use like glibc with like minimal issues. But like if you have an app image, have fun. You got to recompile the app image twice now, once for glibc and once for whatever other standard C library that the other distro uses, and I just don't want to do that.
Also, let's not forget that most app images are built. What was it? There's an old library it's built against that was replaced with the newest version of Ubuntu.
Fuse.
Yeah, Fuse. There we go. They were built against libfuse too, and everyone stopped using that like 5 years ago.
Yeah, it's very much like, please compile on the oldest possible Ubuntu version or whatever, and preferably even older, because then it runs on most systems. But like, it ignores the part where old libraries get like replaced. Like, for example, now, do you know SDL?
It rings a bell.
Simple direct media library.
Yes.
Yeah,
I've
they're
not
making
used it,
version
but
3
I've
now.
played some open source games that rely on SDL.
Yeah. They're making a version 3 now, so soon version 2 will be incompatible. And I know distro like devs will start like shipping 3 soon. Well, not soon. Once it's ready, they will start distributing it pretty quickly, and then it's gonna be a nightmare. Like, do you use STL3 or STL2 or, God forbid, STL1 if you're like stuck in 2006?
And then your arch is like, hey, you want to just go install whatever version from the AUR? Install them all at the same time. Make it work. She'll be right.
And then you get hit all the weird like incompatibilities because STL tries to like load the latest version automatically when it loads itself. So it's like,
well, Arch recently stopped shipping OpenSSL 2 and started shipping. Oh, sorry. Yeah,
SSL.
Yeah, they started shipping OpenSSL 3 point something or other, and it broke everything that relied on it. And a lot of people were suggesting, hey, go and install the old version from the AUR and run it alongside it. It's like, well, you could do that. I would avoid it if I was you. Just relink the objects and it'll work, but it's fine. No, but what I was saying about Probono before was he made this big Wayland write-up that keeps getting shared around. You've probably seen it.
Probably, but I don't remember it.
Should I look at Wayland is bad? Yeah, here we go. Boycott Wayland, it breaks everything.
Oh. I think I have read that.
I'll just send it to you just in case. There we go. I love it. It's a great write-up. Because he has not updated it in so long. He keeps like commenting on it, and half the stuff that's in it is just wrong now.
Yeah. Like I can like just see like screen sharing is broken. I mean, I guess if you run an NVIDIA GPU, it's broken because it's broken for me right now because they. I'm sorry by my contacts at NVIDIA, but like your driver is really cursed when it comes to Linux. So like, yeah, I don't know.
I think even NVIDIA has to agree their drivers are just not great on Linux.
Yeah, I mean they're working on it at least, but it's pretty slow.
One day, maybe they'll catch up. That'd be nice. Maybe it'd be nice if people could also afford NVIDIA GPUs as well. But hey, one thing at a time.
Yeah, one thing. I mean, I'm maybe gonna get some stern words for this, but like the entire melting power cable thing, plus they were going to make like a 4090 Ti, and like the actual GPU was melting. Yeah, I think they need to like it's like power efficiency. I don't want to play with you anymore.
Let's just. How do we make the GPUs faster? Let's just make them triple slot cards and 800 watt. What is it? What is the power
watts,
requirement?
I think.
49.
I think it was 500.
500. It's something ridiculous. Power supply requirements.
RTX 30s.
I can
24 gigabyte.
people have to ask, is 1,000 watt power supply enough for a 4090?
Specifications. 750 watts.
That's more than
Just the
my system
recommended.
has right now.
Yeah, recommended system power, 750 watts.
Yeah. And it's a triple slot card.
Yeah. And it doesn't fit in any case known to man. It's like the fucking there's like this graphics card like joke that was like around like where what was it? Oh, I don't remember. It's like this meme about like like absolutely absurd graphics card that fits in no case known to man. That's like a it's the length of like 2 cases. And like they benchmarked it with something called Bunghulio mark. Yeah, it's like there's this channel that like does like all these fake graphics card, fake graphics card for YouTube channel. Oh, what is it? No,
Can't even find it now.
oh, yeah.
Hey, but at least there's a reason to buy things like the Corsair Obsidian 1000D. This giant case that made no sense for years. But hey, you can fit like a 4090 in it now.
Yeah. I think I found the guy.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
If you can send it on the Discord.
Yes, I found it.
You
It's
did?
the Bitch and Fast 3D 2000. That's what it was called. They made like an April Fool's video with it. There's some Danish guy. I can hear that Danish accent.
Hello YouTube. I'm gonna test a Bitch and Fast 3D 2000 graphics card. As some
Bitch
of
and Fast 3D 2000.
I love this.
I'll quickly find the original thing. It's like for a joke tech. Well, there was like a joke column on like a tech magazine, and they basically just oh, that looks crusty as all hell. Oh, okay, I can get this crusty version. The entire joke is just like it's basically all the graphics processors of like the day just combined into one GPU.
There's a 4090 video from a year ago, and it's very accurate.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Oh. Hey, look, it's fine. It's fine. What it means is that AMD actually has some chance of getting some attention right now, because their cards are, not lighting on fire and not drawing 750 watts and are relatively sensibly priced.
Yeah, and also it's fits in a case that is like known to man.
Case. Yeah, that's also a good advantage. If I put a 4090 in my case, I would be very well covering my my M.2 drive. Like, it would be very, very covered and very burning.
Now I'm just looking at that like Bitch and Fast 3D 2000 joke thing. It's just like it's under no circumstances should this technology be sold to China list. It's also just like it shouldn't work, but it does.
Oh god, I love that. I'll have to check out some of these videos afterwards.
Yeah, and then at the bottom it's like Vtuber is fully owned subsidiary of Apple Computers. Bitch and Fast 3D 2000 supports neither OpenGL nor Direct3D, nor does it fit in any case known to man.
Wait, what is this? NVIDIA 2090 8-way NV link?
Yes.
That's absolutely cursed.
And then the testing the 3DX with a 9000 32-way SLI.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it. That's great. Oh,
yeah.
I'm definitely gonna go check those ones out afterwards. God.
Sometimes people, I'd say, internet just makes like really great things.
Sometimes, and then other times, you're like, why does the internet exist?
Yeah.
Speaking of
Uh,
why does the internet exist? I noticed you got a little bit annoyed with the D-Lang community not that long ago.
yeah, I've dealt with a lot of shit from that. It's so like there's great people in the D-Lang community, but
Mm.
and they want it to be better, but Mike, Walter,
Mhm.
Mike and Walter, like the two people doing well. Walter is like Walter Bright is the guy who makes D, so he's kind of the BDFL at least of the DMD compiler,
Mhm.
and Mike is just like someone moderating the forums or well administrating them.
Yep.
But the forums are technically just a mailing list with a front end in front of it, but we'll ignore that part. uh, so the D-Line community has a toxicity problem,
Mhm.
a very bad one. And it's mostly, well, the fault of Mike and Walter,
Mhm.
because they are like, they have this like no politics stance, which on the surface makes sense, but then I'm like a trans woman, and I'm implicitly, because the stupid world we live in, I'm implicitly political, just by existing for some reason.
Mhm.
And yeah, I've experienced some pretty nasty things in the D community, like people sending me not great pictures of their things. You know what I mean.
Mhm.
I've also experienced harassment and stuff. And like in the past, when I've tried to call it out, it's just basically nothing.
Mhm.
So I just kind of gave up at one point.
Well, I get the no politics thing. Like I can understand that being the stance, but that doesn't have to then mean that you just ignore harassment. Like that's not how that has to go.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, with no politics, it mostly just means we want politics, but only the status quo.
Mhm.
And basically, most people, especially people I've shown D-Lang, bounce off it because of the toxicity of the community.
Right.
So I like D-Lang. It's a great language. I made Inochi2D in it, and I make my living writing it now.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be hard finding contributors for Inochi2D in the future if everyone just gets turned away by
Mhm.
by the toxic community that are in parts of it. Like and like yeah, there is great people in the community, but they don't have the power to actually change this.
Yeah.
So
Why
it's kind
was
of like
sorry, go on.
it's just kind of a terrible situation in my opinion.
Mhm. I was gonna ask, why was D-Lang what you ended up going with in the first place?
I just started using it in 2016 and really liked it. I was like, well, this is my project. I choose what I write in. I write it in D.
Sure, okay.
I mean, I'm the most productive in the language, so if I'd written it in something else, it would have taken way longer to get to this point.
Right,
So
right.
I feel that's the thing D excels at is like productivity, because it, for the most part, just gets out of your way.
Right.
So
You know, that's as good a reason to pick a language as any. I know it. It's good. It's fine. Don't don't worry about it. I think a lot of people get a little bit too hung up on. I've definitely noticed this, especially in my comment section. A lot of people get very hung up on very specific languages. They're like, "Oh, this is written in Python. This is written, especially Rust." Oh my god, I get some fun comments anytime I talk about anything in Rust.
I mean, Rust is fine. I just wouldn't make game dev tech in it. Like I've written plugins for text editors or whatever in Rust, and it's fine for that. But I just don't think it's a good fit for like game dev and game dev tooling.
Mhm.
Mostly because like the borrow checker and the syntax makes it hard to make good game engine game dev code, in my opinion.
Yep.
But that's just my personal opinion. Rust developers disagree with me and make games in it anyway. So
Well, I'm
I
sure
mean,
if you
just
had
use
the
what you
experience that
like.
you have in D and Rust, you would have a very different opinion.
I mean, I tried to do game dev stuff in Rust for a year, and I was like, yeah, this is not really a good fit for what I want to do.
Fair enough.
So
It's working for some people though, but the point I was getting at there was the language you pick isn't like it's not as important as some people make it out to be. Like there's this idea that I hear very often from people who it's usually people who either not programmers altogether or very early programmers that think the language is somehow going to stop you, like either going to stop you or make you write good code. Like, you can write bad Rust code that's going to be horribly slow and very, very, very bad at handling memory. You can do this exact same thing with C. Or if you're someone who's, understands the language, understands the tooling you're working with, knows how to actually use it, you can write something good in, pretty much anything. Now, there are obviously going to be disadvantages using some things, like, you're writing a game in JavaScript, and that's going to go pretty poorly for you.
Not always. It depends on the game you're making.
Fair, but there's only when you're using a language like JavaScript, there is going to be the inherent limitations of the language. Like, there are some things you can't overcome. But I've especially seen this with like CLI tools, for example. Like, it really doesn't matter when it's just doing a bit of text parsing what language you use. It's gonna be fine. Maybe it'll be like, 1/10 of a second quicker, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, like 500 milliseconds or something. It's like it's nothing. Maybe 10 milliseconds.
Yeah.
So like, yeah.
But no, we gotta be tribal about every single thing we use. We can't just accept that, it's working, so it's fine to keep using.
Yeah. I mean, there are some languages that have inherent problems when you need to scale them. For example, Mastodon is written in Ruby, but Ruby is not great at scaling when it comes to like infrastructure. So I'm a bit unhappy about that scaling problem, because we want to start scaling VT Social at some point.
Yeah, that's. I've definitely heard that Mastodon is a bit of a pain to host compared to some of the other Fediverse applications, like Pleroma, for example.
Pleroma, yeah. Yeah, it is a bit of a pain to host, also because the backend and front end are just so tightly integrated. It's a bit annoying, but it is what it is. At some point, I might just like rewrite Mastodon in another language to make it like easier to maintain, because that's the main problem. I just find the code hard to maintain. There's just way too much magic happening underneath the hood in Ruby for me to like it.
Yep. Like,
that's just personal.
I just dealt with being burnt out. You know what? Maybe rewriting Mastodon alongside what I'm doing is a good idea. It seems like a recipe for burnout.
And working on my game engine and moderating an instance, and maybe I'm a bit of a workaholic, but
maybe it's fine.
Sometimes we play Final Fantasy, so it's okay.
Well, yeah. Before we completely diverge from Inochi2D, one thing I did want to ask you about was the license. So you've gone with is this the case for all of the tooling? I know on the library it's BSD2 clause. Is it the same for the other tools as well, or is it just a library?
Yes. All of them are BSD2 clause.
I can understand why you went with a permissive license, but why specifically that license, as opposed to, MIT or something like that?
It's just MIT is slightly more annoying to work with if you're a game developer. So BSD is just nice and easy to work with. So it's more likely that game developers will pick it up if it's just like, okay, we can just drop it in and we just need to throw this license file somewhere.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, MIT has the entire sub-licensing clause that's kind of confusingly worded, so nobody really knows how to execute it.
Right. Right, that makes sense. So it sort of just seemed like the simplest thing to allow integrations to happen.
Yeah, because I know games for the most part cannot be open source. I mean, there is open source game projects, but if you're trying to sell a game and you want to earn a living off of it, chances are likely that you won't open source your game.
Yeah.
That's just the reality of the situation. So I want to at least let there be some open alternatives, so especially developers who are marginalized or don't have the same kind of money situation as bigger developers has a chance to use this tech.
Yeah. As opposed to, swimming in licensing fees with Live2D.
Yeah, you have to pay licensing for each region, so good luck paying so if you want to sell a game in Europe and Asia and America, good luck. You're gonna pay licensing 3 times.
Jeez. Wait, so if you wanted to just have a game on Steam, that would be a nightmare.
Yeah. Yet people still do it, but I guess like they expect, well, companies do it. I guess they expect that they will earn enough from the sales that the licensing fees they're swimming in won't be too much of a problem. But yeah, for me, I thought that was kind of silly. So there's no licensing fees for Inochi2D. You just take the code and use it for whatever. Add stuff to it if you want to, if your game requires it. I would be happy if you would contribute stuff back, but you don't have to. Stuff like that. So.
One thing you mentioned before was a game engine you're working on. I didn't know you actually you were doing that. What's going on with that?
Oh, it's just side project. You know the lesbian Foxgirl Mahjong thing.
Yes.
Basically, I've started working on those. I mean, it's a family of engines because I have like 7 of them. I basically have like a core engine and then I expand them to fit the specific game. So I'm just basically back to doing that like occasionally. So it's nothing special.
So it's sort of just as like a way to not always be working on the exact same thing all the time.
Yeah, basically. So yeah, the game I'm working on right now, because me and Sigech, which is the Japanese contributor, will be working on another game, but that will be very Inochi2D related, because it's going to be like a demo of Inochi2D used for game development.
Ah, okay.
But before then, I'm just poking on my own little game project. A lesbian Foxgirl Metroidvania, yeah. I mean, I'll find a way to get Foxgirls into anything I make. I mean, Inochi2D has the mascot.
Yeah.
So.
Look, it's not bad. That's perfectly fine.
I'm just a bit eccentric. Is that what you call it?
Yeah. Well, since we brought it up, Mastodon and the whole Twitter situation with the elongated muskrat. This has been fun. I've been enjoying.
I call him either Elon Musky Husky or Space Karen.
Oh god, where do I even like? It seems like every time, no matter what I do, like every show I do recently, it's like something has to come up about Twitter and Elon. We'll start with something positive. VT Social. So
I started a Mastodon instance.
You did?
For VTubers.
How's that been going?
We can't keep up with how many people are trying to join.
Wow. How many people
right now is like
actually on there right now?
800 and something, and there's 200 in the queue.
Jeez. So what would I know you've mentioned there are requirements for being on VT Social, but what are what are they?
If you're a VTuber, you need to have at least 1 hour of content over 2 VODs or 2 streams basically.
Yeah.
If you're a artist or someone who makes stuff for VTubers, you need to at least have worked commercially for 2 VTubers, or I made commercial work 2 times for at least 1 VTuber rather.
Yeah.
And if you're a fan artist, you basically have to just predominantly do VTuber fan art.
So
and that's the requirements.
So no V-tweeters.
Depends. Like tweets can be content too. There are some people who do short form video content on Twitter. We would allow those.
Right.
It's just we just want to make sure that it's just not like people who go like, I want to be a VTuber, and that's all they tweet about, and they never really do anything about it.
Right.
So
now there's definitely
we want to.
Sorry.
Yeah. It's just like we want to have people who actually want to do it on the platform.
Right. Yeah, I've definitely noticed a lot of those people where they're like, I am debuting soon, one day, and it was like a year later they're still debuting soon.
I mean, that's my situation, but at least I stream with my model.
Well, you have a model, so you've at least made some progress, and you working on the software to actually get the VTubing working. So I think you're an exception.
Yeah. Maybe.
Most people aren't, working on a Live2D replacement.
I would say a replacement. It's more an alternative.
Sure,
Granted,
okay.
considering Live2D does not like Inochi2D, I have some receipt for that, but I don't want to get people into trouble, so I won't get too deep into it. But yeah, they're not too happy about my project, so I don't think they want us to coexist. But I would be fine with it coexisting with them.
I think what would make them really unhappy is if, a big VTuber suddenly existed that was using Inochi2D.
I'm thinking of a yellow-haired, blonde-haired VTuber who does Linux stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Get her a lot more attention. But what has the what went into? I've never set up Mastodon. What's the process of actually setting it up?
Well, our process is different because we actually have physical servers in a Japanese data center. So, but otherwise we're running a fork of Mastodon where we have our own changes. We have our own set of emotes and stuff installed on it to replace the default ones.
Yep.
And we also run the glitch edition, which has extra features, you can do markdown posts and stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
Where did I get to? Brain 404. But yeah, we run a modified Mastodon, and we basically right now they're run directly on the server without any containerization. But Lena wants to do some infrastructure upgrades soon. Trademark when she has time.
Unless Lena decides to stream it, when does Lena have time?
When she's not streaming.
Yeah, she does 12-hour streams. What do you?
I mean, she takes a good old nap afterwards, and usually I talk with her the day after.
Sure. So, okay.
But yeah, my brain is going blank.
There's something else to say there. So, what made you want to go and set up? Besides the fact that all the Twitter stuff's happening, people are going to places besides Twitter. We'll see if they continue doing that or if everyone just gives up. But what made you want to go and set up your own Mastodon instance rather than just migrating to one that already existed?
Because it didn't exist one specific for VTubers. Initially, we were just gonna make it a Null Party Live one and just have only us on it. But then we later decided maybe due to this entire situation, we should expand that purpose to be just a VTuber instance.
Yep.
At that point, we didn't know about the other VTuber instances that exist, so we just ended up creating now the biggest VTuber instance.
Wait, so there were ones that were there. It's just not really many were using them.
Yeah, they were spawning around the same time as us.
Ah, okay, that's a bit different then. I thought it was one that maybe had been a little bit established.
Yeah, but we're the one with the most resources, so we're also the biggest one. So yeah, that's just how it be. So
what's the moderation experience been like? Have people been civil? Have they been good internet citizens, or have you had to punish a few people?
Surprisingly, most people have been sensible. It's just there's a few instances just dedicated to just harassing people that we've had to defederate, but otherwise it's fine.
Yeah, I can definitely. Well, there's definitely ones that are for that, but there's definitely ones that shouldn't be federated with anyway because they're hosting things that are not exactly legal.
Oh, that too. Yeah, we also just defederate those.
Yeah.
So.
I can think of a few. I'm not even going to bother listing them, but there's definitely a few that come to mind. Because I'm on an instance that is pretty open about federation. They'll federate with pretty much anyone, but their list of... They do have a couple of instances that are blocked, and they are hey, this is... Someone should send the FBI to the people running this server sort of instance.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the problem with something being federated. It's great that anybody can do it, but the problem is that anybody can do it. And when anybody can do it, then you're going to run into people that are Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like Twitter had that same problem too, but
Mhm.
like with Mastodon and basically any federated social network, you as an administrator have the ability to basically just yeet those people so you can make a nice user experience for users.
Mm-hmm.
And like we are pretty like also like we're not as heavy-handed when it comes to defederation. It's only when like the instance is either too scuffed,
Yep.
has way too scuffed things on it. Again, like FBI should probably show up at their door,
Yeah, yeah.
or instances that are dedicated to like alt-right stuff,
Mhm.
because like most of our users they would not be happy about those kind of people harassing them,
Mhm.
and then just instances dedicated to harassing people.
Yep. Yeah, there's definitely
And
a lot of those that exist as well.
yeah, so that's basically our defederation policy. Otherwise, if it's just like some instance where like one person is a douchebag, then like yeah, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
People can block that douchebag individually if they want to.
Yeah, I've definitely seen. There are some, especially some big instances. The biggest instance, which are a little bit like that in some cases, where you look at their block list and you're like, I don't understand why this is blocked. I
Mm.
it look it that's the thing though. Like the problem that a lot of people are seeing with the way that the Mastodon works is the fact that they're just joining servers at random. Like I've seen a lot of people that are like, oh, I got banned from this instance for, there was a popular post going around like I got banned for this instance for being a capitalist. I got banned for this instance for this thing or for that thing. Stop joining random instances. Look at their rules.
Read the rules. Yeah. I mean, we also have like a strict like no NFT, crypto, whatever spam. Like if you're doing that, then we're also gonna ask you. Well, we're gonna be nice about it. We're gonna ask you to leave and let you migrate your account before we ban you. But otherwise, yeah, we.
Well, when it comes to spam, like that's different. Like if you're just trying to be a nuisance, like whatever, get out.
Yeah, but also just in general, we don't care much for like NFT crypto stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just basically if that's your entire shtick, then please just find another server to be on.
That's fair. No, I totally get that.
Yeah.
What if they're a what if they're an investing?
I know there exist NFT VTubers, but
no, I wasn't gonna say an NFT VTuber, but like an investing VTuber that talks a lot about crypto. Or is that like this weird gray area where you're like, I work it out?
I mean, if all they talk about is investing, then yeah, we're also gonna ask them to leave.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
Because that's not what our instance is about.
Totally fair. No, that's fair. Like that's the important thing. Like learn what the instance's rules are. Join something that works, and you'll be good. Like if you, like if you join, let's say you have an instance.
Well, kind of.
They're
like the moderation and like user control tools, like the tools users have to like improve the experience, are kind of terrible in Mastodon. It has a UX problem.
Well, no, I don't mean the like the federation with other servers. Like that's going to be an issue. I mean like if you join.
I mean also means on a personal level, like on like blocking people and stuff. Like there needs to be way more fine-grained control, and it's not there. And that's what we want to add with the fork of Mastodon we're running.
Right. Now the point I was making was like you like. Maybe the people that you interact with on that server are going to be, or like federated with that server are going to be annoying, but like you specifically won't get banned from a server if you join a server that aligns with like what you want to, how you're going to be acting and what you're going to like be discussing.
Yeah.
Like if you join an investing, like if you Mastodon about investing and you talk about investing, you're not going to get banned for investing. But if you join something about puppies and then you talk about investing, like. Of course you're gonna get banned. Like, what are you doing here? Go away.
Yeah.
So this mess for like leaving Twitter has also opened up a lot of people to trying out other platforms besides Fediverse platforms. And one of the big ones that actually there's two big ones that people have been talking about recently. One of them's Tumblr, which actually we'll get into Tumblr in just a bit because they are doing something really cool that I don't know if you heard about.
I have.
but Hive. No, I know you've heard about Tumblr. I don't know if you've heard about the cool thing they're doing though.
I have heard about the cool thing you're doing.
Okay, there. Okay, but Hive.
ActivityPub.
Yes, the ActivityPub and Tumblr. Yes, but Hive.
Yes. Oh god, not that. I see somebody I saw a bunch of VTubers like fear mongering about Mastodon, like, oh no, the administrator knows your email and your IP. Of course we do. We need to store this stuff to like have your account, and to if law enforcement, like if you do something really scuffed and we need to give the info to law enforcement.
Yeah.
Then we also need to store the info as per law, so we can't like. But we are like following a GDPR, so it's not like we're gonna show this stuff to randos.
They know your email address and your IP. You're like, yes, that's how connecting to a server works. Like,
yeah, I mean, Hive knows the two, and like they're way shadier than like someone who runs a service for public good.
Well, I had never heard of Hive before a week ago. I don't think anybody had.
Yeah, I think my theory is that like they probably paid influencers to join it and then shill it, and that's how it suddenly blew up.
That wouldn't surprise me, actually.
Yeah, because they have like angel investor money and whatever.
Because all I know about like Hive as a how they're structured is like 2 guys run the platform, and that's
a woman and a guy who might be fired but might not be fired because he said a bunch of really scuffed things, and they're saying he's fired, but there's signs that he's not fired. And he like a week ago said like, "Whoa, we made a new update."
Okay, sure.
And it also apparently used to be like very right-wing oriented social media when they've just like randomly pivoted.
Well, I don't know what to think about that, because I've heard 2 sides of this coin. I've heard some people complaining that Hive is like, it's full of nothing but like LGBT, leftists, and all of this, and then other people are like, no, it's nothing but the alt-right. And I'm just like, I don't think anybody knows what's happening on Hive. I think...
Yeah, it's just a shit show.
Yeah. Cause if it's both at the same time, like that's not how, like, what are we doing? Like, I think people jumping onto like one comment, one story, and they're just rolling with it, and it's hard to really have a good understanding of what's really going on, especially because there is that giant influx of users right now.
Yeah. Another thing is just like their past history that has been dug up. Like again, they started in 2021, and initially they were going for like a right-wing kind of deal, and then they pivoted, probably because they want more users. So.
Well, yeah. Now that Twitter is like being run by Elon, like pushing the hey, we're the right-wing social media platform isn't like, that's not the way you're gonna get users, because now like that
Twitter is that.
So it's just like, well, all of these platforms that their entire selling point was we are right-wing platforms now doesn't work.
Yeah, so 180, we're very lefty, and you can post your lewd art or whatever here now. Don't look at our missing privacy policy or anything.
They don't have I'm sorry, what? They don't have a privacy policy?
No, most of their like things for like privacy policy and stuff like that is just not there. So it's just like, and the app is like half broken, buggy.
They have
like people
one
are
on their website now. I don't know if it's
I don't know if it's privacy policy or whatever, but yeah,
it's very very short for a privacy policy. Let's see, log data. We want to inform you that whenever we use our service, in case of an error in the app, we collect data information through third-party products on your phone called log data. The log data may include information such as your device, internet protocol address, IP, device name, operating system version, the configuration of the app when utilizing our service, the time and date of the use of your service, and other statistics.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing anything that's horribly standing out to me right now, but I've not done a full read of it. I think people are just jumping. Well, okay. It does. It's very amusing watching this from like, I don't really get that much into politics nowadays, but looking at this from the outside, a year back, you had a bunch of right-wingers jumping to every single platform like that was not Twitter. And now the exact same thing is happening in reverse. Everyone is terrified the exact same thing is going to happen on the left now. It's like, don't just jump to any social media platform that just suddenly exists out of nowhere and then expect it to be like a long-term platform. Like, don't just trust everyone with your data. It's not a good idea.
Yeah, and with like how buggy it is and stuff, I'm like, it wouldn't surprise me if they store passwords, plain text, or something silly like that.
Well,
they're bound to be hacked soon, and we'll find out.
I tried to make an account. So I'm using, I don't know if the iOS version works better, but I was using the Android app, and I try to make an account, and when I go through the like account setup process, it's like, something suspicious happening on this device. We are not going to continue. Like, okay, whatever. It was like when they're trying to like send me the verification code. It's like, something suspicious happening on this device. Like, okay. I try to log in. So I'm like, okay, maybe if I log in now without verifying it, they'll be able to like send me the code. And it's like, something went wrong. I'll try again later. Something went wrong. Try again later. And I tried again later, and it just kept doing the same thing. So I couldn't even make an account on the service.
Yeah. And people are probably like editing their profile and shit because it just breaks.
Mm-hmm. I know there have been...
And also, and people like ats, like, usernames not unique, so people can just keep creating users under the same at. So there's just like a million accounts called @Genshin Impact, for example.
Yep. I saw I think it was Iron Mouse was tweeting about it actually. People were asking her about Hive, and they're like, any of these accounts called Iron Mouse Zero account? It's like, I'm not using Hive. There's just a bunch of fake Iron Mouse accounts now.
Yeah. It's we're back to Twitter Blue, except this time people can literally have the same ad.
The Twitter Blue situation was so bad.
It was so funny though, especially all the people pretending to be Elon and then getting themselves banned.
Yeah, H3 and Kathy Griffin were the two big ones that got banned from that, but other people got banned as well.
Yeah.
Then there was the medical company that lost a shitload of money because someone made...
Yeah, Eli Lilly.
Yeah. And like, insulin's free now, and their evaluation just dropped. It's like, come on, how did you not think this was gonna happen? Because he announced it.
He's just said on Twitter, it's just like, I expect people to be nice.
Well, the problem with the whole Twitter Blue thing is he announced it and shipped it out within like a week or so, which, is relatively impressive to get a new system out like that quickly. The problem is...
I mean, crunch.
Yeah. But the problem is that a lot of people didn't know that this had happened. So people didn't know that check marks now meant nothing. So everyone thought they were like legitimate accounts. But I'm sure
also,
you've seen the email about Twitter 2.0 where Elon was like, hey, we're gonna work high intensity long hours to make sure this gets done. It's like...
yeah, it's just like, also, please press yes on this to sign up for it, otherwise you can have a severance package. And then like almost nobody said yes.
I'll find the exact email. Can I...
Also, I just realized this seltzer that I just opened has higher alcohol volume than the other one I opened. That's interesting.
You're on your second drink. It's like midday.
I mean, this is the first seltzer I'm drinking.
Oh, okay. Right, but didn't you have the other drink?
Oh, that's not one I finished ages ago. It's just, the can is just on my table. I haven't cleaned up in case.
Okay. Can I find this email? Oh my god,
That's definitely the taste.
This email was going around Twitter. Why can I not find it now? Images. Here we go. A fork in the road. There we go. Thank you, Mashable India, for actually letting me see the email. A fork in the road. Going forward to build a breakthrough Twitter 2.0 and succeed is in an increasingly competitive world. We will need to be extremely hardcore. This will mean working long hours at high intensity. Only exceptional performance will constitute a passing grade. Twitter will also be much more engineering driven and design and product management will still be very important and report to me, but those writing great code will constitute the majority of our team and have the greatest sway. At its heart, Twitter is a software and service company, so I think this makes sense. If you are sure you want to be part of new Twitter, click yes on the click yes on the form below. Anyone who has not done so by 5 p.m. ET tomorrow, Thursday, will receive 3 months of severance, which I like how he's saying that as if it's like some exceptional thing, but I'm pretty sure that's like the minimum legal requirement.
Also, that email also breaks European and African employment law, so he's being sued by both Europe and Africa right now as well.
I'm sorry, what? I missed that one.
So in Europe, you cannot fire someone in that way. You have to to terminate the contract. You need to have a meeting where you are there with the union and stuff, and you can't just do it like that. So a bunch of people from Germany and other places in Europe are suing Elon right now for that, for basically legally terminating their contract.
Oh, yeah, it's in Ghana that he's also being sued as well. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
But he's Elon. He can do what he wants. He's Elon.
Yeah, it's. I mean, that's just the cost of running business. Which is another reason why you should not sign up in Hive, because you can probably trust people who run these services that have to follow GDPR, more than just a random LLC that pops up. Because for them, just fucking up with your user data is can be the cost of running business.
Yeah.
For me, it's way more more dangerous for me to fuck up with people's data.
Yeah, I honestly, if you're going to go somewhere, and it's not going to be the Fediverse, just stay on Twitter.
Yeah. Well, at least until it implodes.
Yeah. Well, if it doesn't make money, it's going to implode anyway because of the fucking the loan and the interest that the company has to pay now. So
yeah.
But what was I? All right. So one of the things that I don't like about the jump that's been happening over to Mastodon is that a lot of people think that the Fediverse is just Mastodon, which is leading a lot of people to be very confused about what it really is. I get that it's a very different sort of model, but I kind of wish this push did sort of let people understand more about ActivityPub as a way of connecting the service together, rather than just, oh, it's Mastodon, it's another service that exists like this.
Yeah. That's a problem that with joinmastodon.org, it doesn't really highlight the fact that it's not one social media, it's 17,000 of them that's interconnected.
Yeah. And then the main one people join, mastodon.social, always has its signups locked because people just think that that's the way you join Mastodon. But, that might be helped by, Tumblr doing ActivityPub.
Yeah, I mean, I see a bunch of instance admins being like, we're probably going to block this immediately because it's probably going to introduce a bunch of ads into the Fediverse, because that's a good way to sell ad space.
That's a really good point. I'd not even thought of that. Huh. Yeah, I'm very curious to see what they actually do with because if they just keep the ads on just the Tumblr platform itself, that's not going to be anywhere near as monetarily beneficial.
Yeah, but if they distribute it over ActivityPub, then that's going to be annoyance for administrators and stuff.
But besides that, I think the idea of Tumblr doing ActivityPub is probably for the best.
Yeah.
No one cares about Tumblr at this point.
I mean, a bunch of artists have joined it. So.
That's one thing I've heard from people that they're actually excited about, because they've moved over to Mastodon now. So if Tumblr goes ActivityPub, then they
you
don't
can just
have
follow the Tumblr blogs.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's definitely really cool.
Yeah.
I am curious to see if they actually follow through with it. But
yeah, I mean, they basically made it a public part of the roadmap that once they have handled all the users signing up, that they will start working on ActivityPub support.
Oh, I didn't know that actually fully confirmed it. Because I know it was like a discussion that I think a CEO was talking about.
Yeah, basically the CEO confirmed that after they've handled all the influx of users, then they'll start working on ActivityPub.
So hopefully, maybe sometime
Soon.
next year.
Yeah,
If
that's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, well, what I'm curious to see what happens is if Twitter does stick around, at least, for the coming months, if this sort of trend of leaving Twitter continues, because this sort of happens, it happens every so often, like some big event will happen, people will be like, I'm leaving this social media platform, and people, like, a lot of people do leave, but, like, the same things happen with Facebook, for example, like, some big data leak or something will come out and be like, Facebook's bad, everyone leave Facebook. And then, 2 months, 3 months pass, and everyone sort of forgets about that, and it goes back to business as usual. It's very likely that that's going to happen with Twitter, especially if Elon doesn't, completely screw it up.
Facebook has been bleeding users heavily for a few years now.
They have, but it's not like, it still has a massive user base. So it's like they're bleeding users.
But it's mostly old grandmas that have no idea how the hell to move to other platforms.
Yeah. Well, the thing with Facebook is they don't need to bleed users to lose money. They just need to let Zuckerberg keep trying to push the metaverse.
Yeah.
What was they lost 75% of their value over the past year or something ridiculous like that?
Yeah, he's just like, I'm gonna do the Fediverse. I'm gonna do the metaverse, and whatever happens with Facebook, whatever, I don't care.
If I remember correctly, the evaluation of Facebook is now in the range of like a couple of the big US hardware stores or something ridiculous like that.
Yeah.
But hey, look, someone has to dump money into VR so we can get to SAO. Let Zuckerberg be the sacrificial lamb. Zuckerberg can do it. Everyone else after that can be like, yes, VR's good now. Let's actually make something with it.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, VR is okay, I guess. I mean, I haven't tried it, but people I know who use it say it's pretty great now. At least if you like doing Beat Saber and VR chat.
Well, yeah,
that's basically the two things that people use it for.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah,
and then Mark Zuckerberg, virtual office. And also Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce.
All that needs to happen for people to care about the metaverse is for something good to actually be made. Like, no one wants to be like, yes, let's have our office meeting with VR headsets on. Like, okay, sure, why not? No, stop it.
I mean, it has one cool thing that you can have multiple virtual screens inside of the VR headset.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of stuff about that. That is really neat.
But otherwise, yeah, it seems a bit bulky.
Yeah, for productivity stuff, as headsets get cheaper and they get better, I guess the Facebook one, or Meta's one, is going the other direction, it's getting more expensive. But as they get cheaper, generally so, I think that's going to be one of those things that does eventually become like a viable thing, a viable way to actually use it. Like, rather than having, I have a triple monitor setup, you could replace that with a headset and get, in some cases, an even better experience.
Yeah. I mean, I have a triple monitor setup too now. Mm-hmm. And one of them is vertical because you told me to try to make it vertical last time, and it's just been vertical since then.
I actually have 2 vertical monitors. I only have one horizontal display.
I have 2 horizontal and one vertical. The one horizontal is 1080p, one is 4K, and then the vertical one is 1080p.
I don't recall ever saying that, but it sounds like something I would say.
Yeah, I think we talked about flipping the monitor, and then I did it while we were on the call. So, and then I just kept it since then.
Mm-hmm. So what's your vertical monitor experience been like then? How are you enjoying it?
I mean, it's just a monitor on the side. Whenever I have like Twitter, well, not anymore Twitter, but like Mastodon open, it's like okay, I can see my notifications in a long list instead. That's about it.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it? You can just see everything.
Well, not everything. I get so many notifications. It's just like okay, well, I guess I still gotta scroll.
Oh yeah, it's so popular.
Uh,
But no,
I have like
I think the vertical
one-
monitors, like it's definitely a great idea to at least have one of them. Like it's not just for Twitter and stuff. It's great for Discord or anything where it's like a long feed of information. It does a perfect job for that.
yeah, well, except the part where I have like slightly bad eyesight, so like text is small, so it does like put strain on my eyes to read it.
Right.
Because
Okay.
I'm stupid and don't wear reading glasses, because that means I can't wear my headset.
Remind you, I should actually go get my eyes tested. It's been like 3 years. I should do that. At some point, my eyes will start degrading. Last time I got my eyes checked, they're like, "Oh, you have perfect vision." Like, okay, sure, cool. I feel like I have perfect vision. That might just be me being very tired all the time. But I should probably go and get them checked again just to see if that's actually the case or it is starting to become a problem. Because pretty much everyone in my family has at least reading glasses. So it'd be
Yeah.
very surprising to me if that doesn't become an issue I have to worry about.
My VTuber model is less stupid than me because she wears her reading glasses.
Can you take them off or are they just stuck to your head?
I can, but it requires like editing the model right now because I haven't made a trigger for it.
Oh, okay. I thought it was going to be one of those things where, your layers were just merged together and there was nothing you could do about it.
Oh no, I can. I just haven't like added the option for it. Just because I'm so used to having the glasses there that like it looks cursed when they're not there anymore.
Yeah, that's fair. No, that totally
I want
makes
to
sense.
get my I want to get my model art redone at some point. And then I'm probably gonna make the glasses toggleable then.
But then you'd have to, like, actually justify using it.
Yeah. I mean, the idea would be that I would use it for coding streams, and then for gaming streams, I wouldn't use it. Stuff like that.
That's fair. That works. So, I was gonna. Yep.
We were initially going to talk about Final Fantasy XIV before we start, and then
yeah, you know what? We'll do that.
Yeah,
why not?
I'm a foxmate in Final Fantasy XIV. I sent you a picture in DMs or a tweet I made ages ago.
See. Ah, that's adorable.
Yeah.
Let me open up the picture. Here we go.
I am the edgiest foxmate because I'm also a Reaper.
You
with a chain scythe.
Lovely. I will eventually try out Reaper. Pretty much what I'm doing. I'm just starting Shadowbringers now. So one day I'll get to Endwalker. One day, but basically my idea is when I go through the story of each expansion, I'm just playing a job from that expansion. Maybe I'll play Reaper or I don't know if I'll play Reaper or Sage during Endwalker. Maybe I'll try Reaper.
Reaper's fun.
It looks fun. I remember a couple of days, not dead on release because I couldn't log onto the servers, but when I could log into the servers because there wasn't 20,000 people queue, I remember doing like the MSQ roulettes and just any roulette possible, and it was just nothing but sages and sages and reapers, and that's everything that was going on.
I did actually log in on the first day, but I was like awake for like 4 hours waiting in queue and kept getting kicked out of it.
Yeah,
it was a nightmare. But I did eventually get logged on, and I played for like an hour before like the server crashed, and then I went back into the queue, and then I gave up for the day.
Because that was around the time the game was like really booming. Because a lot of the big WoW streamers were jumping on as well. So it's like, well. Yeah. Let's, maybe you'll get to play the game one day, possibly.
A month later, it was much better, but yeah.
Because I actually started
at the start. So at that time, I was working at a Danish games company. So every morning before I went to work. I would start the game and just be in the queue, And then I would work, and then I would occasionally, like, because they had like a timer that locked you out, I would occasionally move my character to not be locked out, and I would go back to work. And then as soon as work ended, I was like, Final Fantasy time.
I only started playing earlier this year, but I've been really enjoying it. Do I have any
I
pictures
started
of my
playing it
character?
last year.
Wonder if I have any pictures of my character somewhere.
I got it working on my Steam Deck too. That's nice.
Ooh. I don't have a picture of my character, but I have a picture of art of my character that I use on my stream sometimes. Here we go.
Maybe we should play together at some point.
Maybe. What
okay.
What do you play on? What DC?
I have multiple characters and multiple DCs.
I am
I have
playing
one in Oceania.
on Aether right now.
That's the American one, isn't it?
Yes.
I don't have one in the American one. I have one in the Australian one, and I have one in the European one. I have one in Odin. That's my main character on Odin.
Mm-hmm.
I have one in Asia, and that's the 3 characters I have right now.
Yeah, I did swap over to the Australian one when they first got created, and then I left because I was sick of the queues. It was real bad. Like I was going through the Stormblood Alliance raids, and I got to the second Alliance raid, and I queued. I think
Shadow of what was the Stormblood one?
The first one was like right around a lighthouse or something.
Oh, okay, yeah. So the Ivalice one. That's the one I'm doing right now with a friend.
Oh, nice.
I haven't finished that one, so I'm doing the Ivalice quests and stuff.
I queued for about 8 hours and I didn't get a group. Because on Oceanic, if it's not Crystal Tower, no one queues it. Maybe, possibly, you'll get some of the Heaven's Ward Alliance raids, but anything past that, it is not happening.
Wow.
There's just and not just that, like, I was trying to do leveling roulette, and I typically main a healer because I like my healer privilege. It would take me 15 minutes to queue in leveling roulette as a healer.
Oh my god.
And there was 2 people in the queue ahead of me. Like, it was rough.
Yeah.
Now we're on Aether, I just hit the button and I'm queued, which is great. I love it.
But that's another picture. You can see my free company there. It has a nice name. And do you know what it stands for? GF. Good Fox Girl Incorporated. I couldn't call it Gay Fox Girl because apparently gay is the legal word.
Oh, that's sad.
So it became Good Fox Girl instead.
That's illegal, but everyone can run around with the the Step Warrior title. Oh god. No, I've been really enjoying my experience with 14. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a long time since I've been like super into a MMO because I played RuneScape as a kid, and I played that for like 7 years. That was...
Yeah, I played RuneScape for a bit, and then I got hooked on World of Warcraft, and I got so burnt out on MMOs for like 7 years or something after getting through Cataclysm, I think.
Mm-hmm. There was a period of time I was gonna play WoW. Like my mates were like playing it, like, oh, come play WoW. I think it was during like maybe Mists of Pandaria.
Yeah.
And
that was the one I burned out in, I think, actually.
And I just
it's the one with the pandas, so.
Sorry. I just never decided to actually play it, and this is like, well, probably for the best, to be honest. Because if I started playing that then, that was like sometime during high school, I would have just kept playing through university, and maybe then I would have just wasted more time than I already was just watching anime all the time.
Yeah. I mean, that's how it goes, I guess. But yeah, I played a lot of World of Warcraft, and I got really burned out of it. And I started playing World of Warcraft because I really liked Warcraft 3. So it's like, but yeah, stuff happened. I got burned out on it. I was like, I'm never going to play MMO again. Friends kept telling me Final Fantasy XIV is really good. You should play it. and then I start playing it, and like A Realm Reborn is kind of silly, so I didn't really I made a bit fun of it. Then I watched a documentary of it's like how it came to be, and then I learned more about like how it like started out as like one game that got remade, and like how intriguing it was. Like, oh, this is actually kind of cool. And I get to Heaven's Sword, and I'm hooked, and I cry at like a scene. You know the scene on the giant bridge with the blue-haired friend. Yeah. And after that, I was hooked.
This is an unpopular opinion, but I actually don't like. It's not bad, but I kind of think Stormblood's better than Heaven's Ward.
I don't like Stormblood all that much. Like the first half of it, like is good, and then the patch content just kind of ruins it.
That's fair.
I think.
What I liked about Stormblood is it wasn't just like, "Hey, hero, save us, hero." It's just like you were just like sort of another one of the members of the army trying to stop the Galleons. Whereas with Heaven's Ward, it's like, go fight the dragon, hero! Hero! Save us, hero! It's like, fine, I'm gonna do it anyway, but like...
I think there was more to it than that for Heaven's Word.
There definitely was, but I'm obviously simplifying it, but
yeah.
I do like I sort of like just being a part of the action rather than the primary focus of the action. If that make any sense.
Yeah, I think my favorite expansion would be Shadowbringers.
That's what I hear from a lot of people.
Yeah, I just like this. Like before then, it's like kind of mild, and suddenly like there's just a massive tone shift in Shadowbringers, and it actually like makes it really intriguing.
Yeah, like, I'm leveling my.
You start out Shadow.
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
I was gonna say I'm leveling my my Gunbreaker to. I hate this delay.
Sorry. I'll let you say that first.
I was saying I'm leveling my Gunbreaker to go through Shadowbringers. I'm almost at 70, and then that's gonna be the job I play through that expansion with.
Yeah, but like you get into Shadowbringers, it's like okay, so this is probably gonna be more of the same. I'm somewhere else now, and then holy shit, what is going on? It just hits you like a brick because like you really don't expect that massive tonal shift like right at the beginning.
I know just a touch. I've been very... I guess the 14 community is very good at this, like, not spoiling stuff, just because of how big of a focus that is with the game.
Yeah.
But I've been very, very careful about seeing anything related to spoilers. I know of a couple of characters that, exist during this. I know who the Crystal Exarch is, things like that. But...
Raha boy.
But yeah, as for like, specific plot points, I've very much tried to avoid that. The thing with the Crystal Exarch, very difficult to avoid that one, because that's like, you watch the
you immediately kind of notice it.
Yeah. Also, if you just watch or like Astinian coming back, for example, like you just watch the Endwalker trailer, it's like, okay, yeah. Sure.
Yeah, that one is kind of hard to avoid. I mean, you kind of immediately can guess it from the start of the game when you see him. So that one is not really that big of a plot twist, in my opinion.
Well, it really annoys me how many times Astinian showed up during Stormblood. He's like, I'm going to save the day, and then he just leaves. It's like, Astinian, join the group. What are you doing?
I mean, he's basically chasing down all those eyes, the Nidhogg eyes, whatever.
He'll just see like Alphinaud doing something. He's like, I should go talk to him, and just leaves. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah. There's one thing in Heaven's Word that makes it like a really good expansion, and that's the part where Estinian misses, like he thinks what's her name? Alphinaud's sister. Why do I forget her name? Alice, yeah. He mistakes Alice for Alphinaud, and she just rips his like throat out immediately. That's a good one. I love that one.
Honestly, I've enjoyed pretty much everything that happened throughout the game so far. A lot of people said that like A Realm Reborn was pretty slow, but I still enjoyed it. It was
I enjoyed it too, but it was like more kind of like making fun of how silly some parts of it was.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then you get to like the second half, and suddenly it actually starts ramping up and getting really interesting because
Yes.
it suddenly actually uses all those plot points it built it up to.
Mm. Well, the problem is like whenever you're at the start of any sort of story, like building up the initial characters, building up the world, all of that stuff is going to take a bit of time to like properly get into. Like, it makes sense that it's going to be a little bit slow.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, they didn't really build up the characters in A Realm Reborn at the start. It's only in the patch content that they started actually building on top of the characters.
That's fair.
And making them really intriguing.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, yeah, with the patch content came all the Bahamut raids that also really added a lot of like backstory that some players might have missed.
Yeah, I'm very happy I didn't play the game back then because, you know, being able to like very easily go and unsync it and just get through it easily, find the story through that is nice.
Yeah.
Because that's really important content. Like, it's not like, you know, you don't have to know it for the rest of the story, but like knowing that
you kind of do. I mean, I won't spoil anything, but a lot of things you learn in A Realm Reborn is really important in Endwalker. So
okay,
it is actually important to know the stuff.
Okay, fair enough.
Same with the entire Crystal Tower raids are necessary for Shadowbringers.
Well, yeah, Crystal Tower is required to get through the story anyway.
Yeah,
that's the other reason that people actually queue
it
Crystal
has
Tower.
it has some very important plot points for also Endwalker and Shadowbringers, Stormbringers.
Well, the start of Shadowbringers is just like go to the Crystal Tower, go get the thing from Crystal Tower. So it's pretty obvious that that's actually gonna be important.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's kind of interesting how much of the stuff they build up from the start,
and
then like a lot of the stuff you see in Realm Reborn, like some especially side content, it first gets really, really important, like, and also some of the main story for that matter. It first gets really, really important in Endwalker that you know these things. And it's like at the start it just seems like useless info, but it's actually quite important to build up your knowledge of like how the world works and make Endwalker make sense.
God, that makes me worried. Now you make me want to go replay Realm Reborn.
I mean, you'll probably remember stuff because like some of the stuff is re-explained throughout all the expansions.
Yep. Okay.
And build upon. But yeah, A Realm Reborn introduces a lot of very important plot elements that is important later on. But it just doesn't look important at the time because it's just not really that well written. But yeah.
Right, that makes sense. Huh.
That's just a side effect of everything, I guess.
I'm very curious to find out like what's going to happen, because I know Endwalker is supposed to be like the conclusion of the current arc. Like what's in store for the game going forward with a 7.0? Like
we are getting some hints about that with the patch content, because the patch content is actually the start of 7.0 in a way, because this is the start of the arc.
Yep.
The new arc. So we're getting introduced to a lot of interesting things, but I'll let you figure that out yourself once you get that far.
Well, yeah, hopefully by the time that I get there, you know, we're mostly done with the patch content.
Yeah, maybe.
Knowing okay, here's the reason why it's I've played the. I don't want to know what playtime is. It's probably too much. I am very bad at going through the story. I will get somewhere. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna PvP for the next 100 hours. I'm gonna try to get through Palace of the Dead solo, and I just don't get through the story. This is why I'm only in Shadowbringers. Like, if I was focusing on the story, I would be done by now. But I've done so much side content that, yeah, it's just taken me a while.
I'll say it's actually good that you're doing a side content, because like it might not look important, but it also like sorry, it also fills out. I just had like a hiccup. It also fills out some interesting plot elements that you might not notice if you're playing through without them.
Okay.
So you can get more out of it. Like, I mean, you'll still get something out of it if you played after, but like, oh, so that's how it works.
Yeah, but I don't think there's anything I'm getting out of Chocobo racing.
No, but like stuff like the alliance raids and the other raids that are side content, and the side content, those actually add a bunch of important stuff. I'll say like Alexander,
Hmm.
the Alexander raid, and the one in Stormblood, the Omega ones.
Hmm.
They put a lot of important plot points up for Shadowbringers.
I'm working
Like they
through
direct,
Mega right now, so
yeah, they directly lead up to Shadowbringers. Some of the important things there.
hmm.
Like you don't need to know those things, but once you know them, it's just like, oh, that's it. Very, very interesting.
Right, that makes sense. The Alexander raids were fun, but queuing with some people where they just don't know the mechanic is. We just
I
don't.
mean, I just queued with a friend, and we were like level 90, both of us, so we just like stormed right through it.
I generally
Uh,
like to do stuff
Basically
synced if
killing
I can,
everything.
but when it was like the Bahamut stuff, it's like, you know what? I'm not even gonna like, because it's in like it's not in the roulettes because of the way they had Bahamut set up. I'm just like, what? I'm just gonna unsync it, whatever.
Yeah.
And most of Bahamut's pretty easy to do solo unsynced, as long as you're not like dumb. There are some like one hit mechanics that
Yeah.
can screw you up.
I when I first played Bahamut, the one hit mechanic hit me and my friends, even though we were like, oh, my phone is saying that it's running low on battery.
The
That's
one
why my character froze for a moment.
the one that really annoyed me was I was doing what the fuck's the dragon that you fight called?
Bahamut?
No, not one of the bosses in the Bahamut raids.
Oh, the one before Bahamut. I forgot its name too.
Yeah. But there's this whatever one it was uses this like twister ability, and if you don't just move out of the way, you just instantly die, no matter what you do. But
Oh yeah. I
yeah,
mean, we killed it so fast that like it basically didn't get the chance. But
I only had a healer leveled at the time. That's my problem. With a DPS, you can just like absolutely
hit it
milk it.
twice.
Yeah.
Just hit it twice instead.
But I said I usually main healer or tank just because I like my Q privileges.
Yeah.
But DPS is
I
fun.
basically, yeah, I basically only play as Reaper, but I do have a tank and a healer. I just haven't leveled them.
Well,
Maybe I
now
should
that I'm
eventually do that.
on Aether and I can actually queue stuff properly, I might do more DPS just so it just wasn't reasonable to do DPS over an Oceanic because there's just so few people, and DPS is
Yeah.
always the most popular thing. So queues are always full as DPS, and do you want to take 3 hours to queue leveling roulette? Not really, no.
I mean, they are trying to get more people on Oceania now because like you get like a bunch of free gil and stuff if
Yeah.
you create an account there.
Well, Oceanic's having the exact same problem that Dynamis is having, the new NA data center, which is no one's
Yeah.
joining it because it's like, and maybe it'll be like, I'm happy to play on Oceanic, but the problem is that just it needs time to mature. And I think by 7.0, like when there's another expansion comes out, then it might actually be reasonable to play on. But because we're in like the lull period where we're going through the patch content, it's not a super exciting time. It's like not people aren't really joining the game in massive droves right now.
No, but they will once 7.0 comes out, I assume.
Yeah. Because then you have the big wave of streamers that come back to do it again, and that'll be fun. 20,000 people queue again.
Oh god.
I'm
Well,
just
at
gonna
least
take a week or two off the game when that happens.
Yeah, I mean, at least I work full time on Inochi2D now, so I don't have any other like major commitments that I have to do at very specific times every day.
Yeah.
It would be a lot easier to queue up in those days.
You're like, oh, start working on H2D. Well, game logged in now. I'm gonna, put this on hold for a little bit. We'll come back to this later.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm basically playing through a bunch of side content now. So that I missed because I just like speedrun through the story because that was very intriguing to me.
Yeah. Speaking of doing Inochi2D full time, how is your experience going with like handling, scheduling stuff and actually working on stuff in a productive way? Because I know that when I'm just primarily focusing on my YouTube stuff, for example, I tend to occasionally let things creep out longer and longer and longer. How are you with handling time?
Well, burnout happened, so I'm basically not doing much right now.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly just recovering and relaxing, so I don't immediately burn myself out so much that I get a stress breakdown and sickness again.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I have a vacation here in December. Yes, Lena is dragging me to Japan for like a month, so
Oh, it's a month.
that's gonna be
it?
fun.
Oh, jeez.
A month and a week actually. So I'm
Wow.
gonna be in Japan for a while. Um, so yeah, in that time, I don't know how much Inochi2D stuff I'll get done, but
Mhm.
as soon as I get back in the new year, it's going to be back to my normal schedule, which is also my streaming schedule: Mondays, Wednesdays, and Tuesdays. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. There we go.
Mhm.
Thursdays. uh,
Well, hopefully that you keep that up and it doesn't become like hyper stressful and you actually like maintain that going forward.
yeah, that's my hope. My biggest worry is again this Twitter stuff, because like the main way I got like patrons and stuff to support me
Mhm.
and GitHub sponsors was through the basically advertisement I did on Twitter,
Yeah.
and that venue is very quickly crumbling underneath me. So I need to figure out other ways to deal with it.
Yeah. I think
So
that's something a lot of people worry, especially a lot of artists will worry about. Not really sure what, because if people start going to a bunch of different platforms, you now no longer have this one centralized location that everyone's at. Like that's what was so great about Twitter. As bad as Twitter
mm,
is, everyone's there. So, if you want to get something, if you want people to know about something, that was a pretty good way to do so.
mm. Sorry, my brain faced off. uh, I heard like half of it and then just kind of like.
Yeah.
I'm
People are
gonna take
leaving
some
Twitter.
caffeine.
It's now it's and going to other places. Now you no longer have a centralized location to sort of get this
Yeah,
information out there.
yeah, that's the big problem. Yeah.
Well, hopefully it
So
goes well.
yeah, I hope so too. I've set up shop on Mastodon, and I will also keep posting at least like whenever I make a new version, I'll post an update to the Inochi2D Twitter. But
Mhm.
that's about it.
Mhm.
I have basically abandoned my main account at this point, so people
Yep.
should not expect me to reply or anything on that anymore.
Mhm. Well, on that note, it's come basically to the end of the show.
Oh
So
no.
it's already been a bit over 2 hours.
Time goes fast when you're having fun.
It absolutely does. Let the people know where they can find you, where they can find Inochi2D, and all of that fun stuff.
They can find me on Mastodon as at LunaFoxkillVT at VT Social. And Inochi2D as at Inochi2D at VT.social.
Mhm.
You can also find Inochi2D on Twitter as at Inochi2D. And you can find me on GitHub sponsors and Patreon. Patreon as LunaFoxkillVT and GitHub as Luna the Foxkill. And if you like what I'm doing, then feel free to support me, because that means that I can get food on the table.
It's always good.
Food is nice. I like food,
Food is definitely
especially
good.
chicken.
Especially hot chocolate that doesn't have soy sauce in it.
Oh,
Is that all of the things you have to shout out? All of the platforms?
the ones I can remember at least. I
Well, I'll
mean,
have all of the
I have
links.
a Twitch and YouTube,
Mhm.
so
I'll have
but
all of the
that's
links
also
in the
just on the same
description as
name.
well, so
Yeah.
if there's anything that you wanted to add, I'll just let me know. I'll put them down there.
Okay.
As for me, the main channel is Brody Robertson. I do Linux and tech and all of that fun stuff over there, usually 6 days or so a week. The gaming channel, which is going to get rebranded soon. Currently, Brody Robertson Plays. I'm got a couple of names on the table that I might change it to that are a little bit less of a mouthful. But nothing set in stone just yet. And then if you're listening to the audio version of this, you probably should watch the video version for this one if you want to actually understand the demos that were happening earlier. But if you're watching the video version and you want to hear the audio version, not just for this episode, for any of the episodes available, most of which are a bit easier to listen to and actually understand what's going on, that you can find on pretty much any of the podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you can find podcasts. Stick in your favorite podcast app as an RSS feed and go check that out. Yeah.
I'm soft and fluffy.
Do you have a final word?
I just said it. I'm soft and fluffy.
Oh, I didn't hear
Look
it.
at my tail.
We'll see you guys later.
See ya.